This is the 318 Podcast, Episode 6. If you have a voice, speak up for the voiceless. If you live to serve others, serve with the cheerfulness that shines through the storm. If you have the gift of building up, begin to build his kingdom on earth. If you have the gift of tearing down, bring the enemy down one brick at a time. If you have the gift of leadership, lead his people back to him. If you have the gift of guidance, show the world his way. If you have more love to give, then find the unloved and shower them. If you have the gift of tongue, then use your words to bring nations together. Speak up for the voiceless. Welcome back to the 318 Podcast, where we talk with people from around the community that are tirelessly working for the voiceless. I'm your host, Jennifer Bates. Today we have with us Miss Summerjoy Scott, aka Summerjoy. Welcome.
Nice to be here.
Nice to have you. Nice to have you.
Mm-hmm.
So normally with my guests, we talk ahead of time and we come up with a topic. But Summerjoy came in today a little differently. She didn't have a topic walking through the doors this morning, but that's okay.
Sounds like me.
That's okay. We're going to make it do what it do. All right?
We're going to make it do what it do, baby.
There you go. Before we get started, though, I'd like to start with just kind of like a little warm-up question to get you chill and relax your shoulders a little bit, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So, let's see. What question do I have for you today? How about this? If you could watch any movie over and over and over again, what movie would that be?
Wow, that's really putting me on the spot. Fuck, I would watch. It's crazy because the other day I was thinking about a movie that was really good and now I can't remember it. I would watch Shark Tales.
Shark Tales.
Mm-hmm.
Explain
Shark
why.
Tales.
I need a little reason behind that.
I don't know. It's one of my favorite movies. It's I haven't seen it in a while, so maybe you should have asked me this question yesterday and I would have watched it. It's super funny. It's for kids, but it has like that adult lesson in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I genuinely laugh at it. And so it just every time. And so it just gives me a sense of what's the word I'm looking for? It just kind of takes me back to being a teenage kid and just giving that sense of humor and not have to worry about things that's too serious. So and it's just hilarious.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Well, I'll answer the question also.
Mm-hmm.
Mine not so humorous. But the movie that I have watched over and over again, honestly, since I was a child, which I probably shouldn't have even been watching it when I was a child.
Sounds about right for all of us.
Is Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
I've never
Have you never seen that movie?
I don't think I've ever heard that movie.
It's also probably why I don't trust a whole lot of people with my children.
I don't even think I want to watch that movie now.
It's just about a nanny, essentially, who goes crazy and, the children become her children. And yeah, it's a whole, you got to watch the movie. There's a backstory to it too. I don't really want to give it away if you haven't seen it.
I'm not going
because it is a really good
it.
movie though.
You talked me out of that about 10 seconds ago, so it's okay.
Yeah. Once you have kids, it's over because it's like you will never have a nanny if you ever watch this movie. So there you go. All right. So now that we got a little bit out the way, tell me how you are today. How are you feeling?
How am I feeling today? I am good today. I've been on a not as intentional as I would like to be, but I've been on a meditation journey.
Okay.
Been on a journey of really trying to identify my feelings in the moment and trying to create space with them. So today I've had some unexpected practice. And so I took some time and went to my meditation and was able to do it. So it's
good for you.
I'm going to reward myself with honor and say I've been successful at that. So my day has been good. I'm good. I'm doing good today.
Okay. Okay. So again, when we spoke before, you gave me few topics that could possibly be for today. And I don't know if you're leaving it up to me to pick and choose or if you want to tell what we're talking about.
Well, no, I'll let you pick and choose.
Okay. Well, the topic that you sent, out of the topics that you sent to me, I would say that the one that resonates with me and the one that I think you will be the biggest voice for the voiceless, as we are looking today, is tell me about your transition from Atlanta to Memphis. First, a little bit of background because some of our listeners don't know what all that entails. It's not just rent a U-Haul and move. So give us a little background.
So how far you want me to go back? You want me to tell you where I'm originally from?
It's completely up to you, as far back as you want to go.
All right, we don't go too far back. Give you a short synopsis. So I'm originally from California. I moved from California to Miami when I was in like 5th grade. I was in Miami for like a year and a half, and then I moved to Atlanta. So I was about 7th, 8th grade when I got to Atlanta. And so that's as far I'm going to skip.
Okay. Gotcha.
But for the past 10 years, I have been a master barber in Atlanta. Everybody knows me, knows that I'm Summerjoy the barber. I became a barber in the midst of trying to find I never wanted to be a barber, just to state that. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life at the age of like 18, 19. And I was in a place where I needed a job. I was working at like Dollar Tree, wasn't making no money, and had eviction notices on my door every month. So I'm like, okay, I need to do something, but I don't want to resort to things that I've resorted to before that were easy, that would have gotten me in trouble, that had gotten me in trouble before. Right. So my friends said, hey, why don't you just try to cut some hair? And so I'm like, I don't know. Okay, whatever. So I practiced on my friends in the dorm, in the apartments, and in the bathrooms. And then I just fell in love with it. And so got an opportunity to cut in Statesboro, Georgia, at Georgia Southern. And fell in love with it. Imagine opening up schools, imagining opening up shops. And then it came more than just a business for me. I started to realize how much of a necessity it was for the people that sat in my chair, and wanted to create a space that was therapeutic for people, and wanted to be a person that people look forward to coming to talk, and realized a lot of people didn't have that in their life. So so I moved to Atlanta.
They didn't have a place to sit and talk.
They didn't have a place to sit and talk.
Gotcha.
Right. And you in the chair, so what you gonna do? Now, some people don't talk.
You're not going anywhere for 30, 45 minutes.
Right. And it takes a special person to know how to get people to unfold. So,
True.
So long story short, I moved to Atlanta back to Atlanta from Statesboro, graduated college in 2014. And that is where I decided that I was fully going to be a barber for the rest of my life at that point. And so I got my license through an apprenticeship with a great shop owner, under a great shop owner that I met. And so 10 years later, have been a barber, opened up a barber shop with a business partner, opened up a barber suite, was able to grow my clientele to being booked 3 months out.
Wow. Wow.
Was able to make 6 figures, was able to use those pair of clippers to buy my first home at 25.
Wow.
I am married.
Okay.
I'm married to my wife, Mrs. Javon Scott. And we were able to, in those 10 years, or we've been together almost 10 years, in those 10 years, she has seen me go from cutting 5 heads a week and being ecstatic about that to cutting 15 heads a day to being up at 6 a.m. every Saturday, cutting from 6 to 7. Wow. And just being in a position and ownership to be able to walk alongside men, specifically, not just in my chair, but other barbers, to be able to give them opportunities to work, to be able to give them opportunities to learn about the business of barbering. Because, I mean, I had 50-year-old men that have been cutting for 30 years and they didn't know anything about the business. Being able to be in a business ownership position.
Wow.
Being able to manage their finances as a barber, all they knew was about cutting hair. And so I transitioned from being just a barber to essentially being a therapist for not only people in my chair, but even for the people that I was leading in my shops. So let me see. Outside of that, I owned a trucking company. I started an apparel line in Atlanta.
Okay.
And so I was definitely just living a life of thriving. I mean, people would sit in my chair.
Like it.
Yeah, people would sit in my chair and they'll just look at me and be like, after they hear all the things I'm doing, one, I look like I'm 12. So
true. Like, for those that cannot see, Summerjoy looks like she's about 15 years old right now. The people that don't know me think I'm like a teenager, but the people that like are able to talk to me, they just assume that I'm like 35. Right.
So nobody could ever really guess my age. But I say that because a lot of people that would sit at my chair, a lot of people that would come in contact with me would look at me and say, wow, like you have done so much at such a young age. I would get that all the time. I would get like people were so impressed about what I would do. And I would take that humbly. Like I wouldn't gloat on it. I know for a fact that it was not just me. It was by the grace of God I've been able to do any of this. Though I was in a successful position, again, like people think they're in a successful position because of what they did, what they manifested with their own power. And I even struggle with using this word manifestation because it makes it seem as if it was done by my power alone. Right. And out of my mind, I created it. And I firmly say, no, I don't have the strength, the power, the endurance, the imagination that it takes to solely even just paint the picture before I get there. Right. Now, once I get there, it's on me. And that's where my endurance, that's where my power has come from. But it started with God and him allowing me to do that. So to be in a position of, I dealt with a lot of people always being just really impressed about the position God has allowed me to be in. Right. And so, yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. You know me very well. For the people that don't know, you know me very well. And I've known you for almost 10 years. So if there's anything I'm missing.
No, I think you hit it all. Okay. We got the background down. Okay. So now we're in the present. We've got the past decade down. So in the present, 2023, actually, we'll go back a few months to 2022. And you heard the call, you made the decision, you and your wife decided to make the move from Atlanta in this thriving world that you created, obviously with the help of God, but that you created your whole world. You stepped aside and you essentially hopped in a U-Haul truck and you made the move to Memphis.
So I felt the call to move to Memphis in 2020. Okay. When we, when me and my wife came up here to serve the community of Raleigh during the closure of COVID. And I've never felt such a strong calling like that in my life. I mean, it was like even the smallest of things, it was God was talking to me in everything. I can still remember the red cardinal that would fly and I would see every other day, and it just felt like I was in an ecosystem of God's peace. Wow. I was going through a rough time, making some real hard decisions business-wise to walk away from some things as I was here at FTK during COVID, and even with frustrations and trying to make one of the biggest decisions to leave a business that I helped build that was part of my dream, I felt peace. And so with that first call, after everything opened back up, I went back to Atlanta. And then my life went back. I made the decision to make one of the biggest jumps, to step out on my own and do something. And that was tough, but it was like, okay, like first real step, intentional, active step of faith. And I did it, and it worked out great. And so, but I still had that call in the back of my head. I'm like, but I don't know when it's going to happen. My wife was not down for it. She was like, yeah, nah, we're not moving to Memphis. So I told God, I said, listen, when I feel like you want us there, but you got to put it in her heart.
Right.
Because she'll go wherever I want her to go, but that's not how it's supposed to be.
Right.
And so fast forward to 2022, my wife is the one that looked me in my eyes and said, I think we're supposed to move to Memphis. And so it was as if
he put it in her heart.
He put it in her heart like he told me he would.
Wow.
And now she's the one trying to convince me to move to Memphis when it's like, okay, I know we're supposed to move here. I know we're supposed to give our life away in some way, shape, or form. Didn't know how. I didn't know what was written. But now it's real, because now what I asked God, like, okay, I'm going to do this if you do this. And he made it happen, and now it's real. And so now doubt comes to fill.
Of course.
And now my wife is the one that's like, no, like, we're just going to take it a step at a time. I'm trying to figure out, am I supposed to cut hair? Am I supposed to, like, that's a whole different lifestyle. It's a whole different, I mean, we're building, we have such a comfortable life here. Like, now we're really deciding to move. And so
now it's down to the details.
And anybody that knows me, I am a detail person. So yeah, we decided to sell our home. That was a hard decision, because we were in a position economically where if we kept our home, it's the way the economy was, keeping our home was a no-brainer. It was like, what? We can get double for our rent? Like, we can be like,
right.
If any other situation, we would have kept our home, because anybody that also knows me knows that I have tried to put myself in a position financially to not depend on anybody.
Okay.
I've always tried to just make sure that I took care of business. I made sure my wife didn't have to worry about anything. And I just tried to just make sure that my stuff was straight, because growing up, it wasn't like that. We've always been in a position where we've had to ask, and, so I never seen real stability financially without having some type of, not necessarily greed, but have some type of spite with your stability. So I wanted to make sure I was stable. I wanted to make sure that I was an example for my wife's younger siblings and the people around me, and to still keep my humble, loving, kind demeanor with it.
Okay.
So, where was I going with that?
With the house.
Yes. So it would have made sense. Summerjoy would have said, we're going to keep the house, and now that's going to be our investment property. And I knew all about that. Like, that was my plan. Okay. We're going to buy this first house. We're going to live in it for a while. Don't know how long. Leave that up to God. But then we're going to go build a home. We'll rent this house out. Like, it was all planned. Because though I never wrote dates, everything that I had done, it was planned.
It was in the plan. Okay.
And so even if I didn't realize it was in the plan, it was in the plan.
Gotcha.
And so God told me, he said, you are not to keep this home. You are to sell this home. Because if you keep this home, when what I have for you in Memphis, when those trials and tribulations come, you're going to think that you have a way out.
You have an escape route.
And so I need you to make this decision completely.
Wow.
And so we decided to sell our home.
Wow.
Decided to leave. Obviously, I had to leave all my clients. None of them could fit in my U-Haul.
Right.
But decided to leave all of my clients, which was hard because I walked with them. I mean, I've had clients that, like, I wasn't just and I don't like to talk. I'm humble, so I don't like to talk about. I let other people talk about my talent and everything. Right. But I will say, like, I was a barber that most people didn't want to leave, and it's not just because of my haircuts. My haircuts were good, are good, are good. But from what I've been told, it's more than just haircuts. Right. It's people would wait 2 months and not go to nobody else to come to me because of the experience and because of the atmosphere that I created for them.
Well, I can speak for my family and the boys that I am raising, and I know if there is ever a time in which I see something in one of my boys, whether he was 12 years old or now 18, 19 years old, and he won't talk to me, and he won't talk to my husband, and the first person I call is Summerjoy. I need you to make an appointment. My boy needs to come and sit in your chair because I don't know. I've never been in a chair session, so I have no idea what it looks like.
Your eyebrows done a few times.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I did get my eyebrows done. But I know that it's different for them, and it is a safe space because whenever he comes home, and I'm talking about any of my boys, I've got 4 boys, so any of them, when they come home, you can just see their shoulders are higher and the weight is lifted. Like whatever it was that they needed to say, they said. And I thank you for that.
No problem.
Thank you.
I be trying.
Thank you.
So the decision to come here wasn't one for a job. It wasn't one for necessarily a better opportunity financially. It wasn't like when people are in a position where they're thriving, most people do not just completely go against that and drop everything and move. You know what I'm saying?
You are right about that. Yes, I do.
And so that was a struggle. That was a struggle to go against everything that I built in myself, to accept certain things that 25-year-old Summerjoy, when the thriving first started and the confidence and everything, like, okay, we're going to do this. I'm learning these new things. Like, would have never made that decision. But again, the calling was so strong, and still can't really find the words to describe it. I can just feel it. It's kind of like God. Like you ain't never seen him,
right?
But you know when you feel him.
Yeah.
And so that's what really made us make that decision was. We felt like we were called to Memphis. We felt like we had a purpose in Memphis. And we felt, I seen the vision of Tory Bates. I seen it when after a traumatic situation happened, which is not my story to tell, but a traumatic situation happened. And we were able to walk with him across the street from FTK, on land that was purchased, and he was explaining everything that was going to happen. Like I could see it. And so to see things that vividly, that was bigger than me, was like, okay, I got to do it. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know. Right. But my biggest thing was being obedient.
Okay.
No matter how I felt, I was like, I just want to be obedient. And so in the time of, we decided to come January. My wife was a teacher, so we couldn't leave until she wanted to finish the school year out. Okay. She didn't want to leave her students. So I had from January to May to really, it's different when you make a decision. You're like, forget it, I'm just going to jump. Yeah. We're just going to go. Whatever happens, happens. But I had to like wait. Right.
You had to take baby steps as you got to the edge before you could jump.
Which was a whole mind bend. Yeah. I've never been that close to God before. But it was a mind bend. Yeah. Like it's to really consider leaving everything you've built and not know what's ahead. Was definitely a struggle. And then we moved here. Everything fought against us to move here. Everything. Like to the point where it's exhausting. Like it was like, so I know they say like if it's not a door that God wants you to walk through, then he gonna shut it. So are you telling me I'm not supposed to go? Right. Because from the sale of our home, though that was very smooth, but like just the small things, it was just like everything was fighting against us mentally. Everything was fighting against us emotionally. Everything happened so fast that we couldn't really take it all in. And it kind of felt like, even to this day, a little bit of guilt because I felt like I left without a lot of closure. And so, because everything happened so fast, and me and my wife brought her grandmother with us, so she sold her home, so I had to handle all of the stuff with selling her home and making sure that things were just handled properly, so she didn't have to worry about anything when it came to the sale. So selling 2 homes at one time and also working still, trying to figure out how I'm going to announce it to my clients because I didn't want to just send the email
goodbye
out
to everybody.
Yeah, so it was the transition here. The before the move here was hard, and people would always say like, you know, the hardest part is jumping, the decision to jump. That's the hardest part, and I'm like, that's a lie.
Right.
That's a lie, because that was the first hard part.
Right.
Then I decided. And then putting on the parachute, that was also hard. Like, okay, we decided, but now I still got to wait all these months to actually do it. Okay, cool. So then it was the jump, which was the moving here. And that was difficult. It was difficult. It still is. We talked before. I didn't really want to even discuss this because a lot of people are in the mindset of, even me, like, nobody cares until you make it.
Right.
So explaining this story now in the midst of it could be seen as just complaining.
Right.
Being ungrateful of this opportunity to hear God's voice and actually have the courage to move on it. And then too, it's like, I'm not out yet. So it's like, you want me to talk about why I'm in it? Like, nobody cares about that until you make it. Then it's like, oh, let me tell you what it took to make happened, it. And let me tell you this lavish story. And I'm just not there yet. But that has been a very hard transition for me, because to not only deal with not necessarily a culture shock because of the city, but a culture shock, just a life culture shock. Right. Like, every single dynamic of my life has flipped upside down, has changed drastically. From my marriage dynamic has changed because now me and my wife work together. So that was affected. My financial situation has changed. My security and but it has shown me that what I actually was my security was my finances and my title. My identity changed. My gift, I feel like it didn't necessarily change, but I'm like, okay, I was using my gift in this way. How in the world am I supposed to use it in this way? Right. My titles have changed. I went from being a homeowner to now renting. My dynamic of friendships changed. My safe spaces and my safe people have changed. So the transition, though me and my wife dealt with it together, even though me and my wife did it together, it's been very lonely because we're all dealing with it at the same time. Right. But don't really know how to express it, and we have to be strong for each other. So it's been difficult because everything has changed, and there's really nothing. Now it's a little better, but when I first got here, there really wasn't anything to hold on to for stability. Like, there wasn't. It's like, okay, everything's shaking, everything's going on, but I still don't have anything to grab onto. Gotcha. And in that, though it's been hard, and I'm still trying to find my rhythm and my balance, it just showed me myself so much. It showed me that my identity was in barbering. And it made me be like, who are you outside of this? When people sit in my chair and I ask them, like, yo, like, and I'm trying to talk them through life, and I'm like, yo, you got to realize who you are outside of all hats that you wear, all labels you have, all that. My thing is barber code. And I made that because it's like, what is your code? Who is the foundation of who you are? When nobody's around, when you have no titles or anything, who are you? And now it's like, so Summerjoy, who are you? And so it has forced me to go on this journey of like, what is my strength? What is my stable thing that I grab onto? And over and over and over again, no matter how hard it's been, it's like, God's like, me, I'm here when you're ready. Wow. You can't depend on people right now. This type of journey is going to take me and me only. You can't depend on your finances. You can't depend on being the best barber out. You can't depend on that. You are in a space where you know nothing of what I've called you to do. And so that's hard.
Yeah.
And it's people like, oh my God, I commemorated. And that you've forced me to talk about this. So. But I mean, you're right. Like, and when you say like, a lot of people do not know. Let me back up. I used to say to people, and I used to have this idea like, it would really bother me when I would listen to these people that have made it. And it's like they give me just milestones of their trials and their tribulations. And then they go straight to like, well, this is where I am now. And it's like, yeah, but did you ever doubt?
Right.
Did you ever fear?
Right.
Like, you can't tell me that you never feared. And I used to say like, because I used to do more motivational stuff on Instagram. And I used to say like, listen, like if you ain't never feared, you ain't never doubted yourself or doubted the things or anything like that, then we can't really compare.
Right.
Like I'm okay. I got to a point a few years ago, I was like, I'm okay with saying I have feared. And there's going to be more times where I fear. And there's going to be more times where I doubt. Because that's how God wired me. Yeah. Because I'm so detailed oriented. I have to know the plan. Then when it's like, okay, what happens when there is no plan?
Right.
So that's where that comes. And it's like, now I'm that person. It's like, okay, so are you going to be that person that waits till you make it? To tell them about the milestones of your fear or doubt? Are you going to talk through this? Are you going to write through this? Are you going to give your journals that you write to your children so they can see like, you probably ain't never seen me cry, but you gonna hear this crying through this journaling,
right?
You know, so, but yeah, it's been a struggle to have your identity stripped away from you, and if this wasn't God, I probably wouldn't be here because it is hard, and but there's no choice. Like when it's God, like no matter how hard it's been, it's like, all right, bruh. You that's the only thing I can hold on to. Yep. The only thing I can hold on to is the feeling, not even the words, because I can't even say what exactly did he tell you to come do. Right. I don't know. You know, but I can't mistake that feeling. I can't mistake, and I know that he's gonna show me one day. Right. But whatever he's supposed to build in me now to get me there. Right. We're just going to have to find out.
So let me ask you this. As I'm listening to you talk, and yes, for my listeners out there, I did kind of put this on Summerjoy. I didn't come up with the topic. No. She did. But it was one of those, this is a backup. We don't really want to talk about this one. We'll come back to it. But when she was talking to me about it, I heard the conviction. I heard the conviction inside of you. And I heard your voice. And this is a place for the voiceless to speak their voice. And you have been silent for a long time. You've been here since June of 2022. So what are we in, March now? So that's about 9 months that you've been here. And you've been silent. It's been you and God, which is how it should be, because that's what he called you to do. But at the same time, I know you haven't come through it. You've already explained that you're still in the middle of it, right? And that you need to have a voice in this. You need to let people know. Don't wait until you've gone through this and then you do the milestones, the highlights of guess what happened over the last year and yada, yada, yada. And, you know, people are like, ooh, I can do it too. But they don't hear the whole year that it took you before you got there. So my question then is, you talk about fear and doubt. If you haven't had any fear and doubt, me and you can't relate, period. Which I get that totally, because I've had fear and doubt over many a times in my life. I'm a little bit older than you.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But, so tell me, and only say what you're comfortable saying. If you're not, then don't share it. Or if it's not time to share it, don't share it. Mm-hmm. But what is your fear right now? As you're in the middle of it and you haven't come through it, so you can't look back and say, you know what I was really scared of was, you're here.
My fear is that everything that I dreamed of before I came here, like in my successful entrepreneur, like the dream I have for my family, being able to be who I want to be, just like my whole dream of my life will not come to pass because that is the fear right now, and not knowing if I'm warranted to dream anymore. Yeah.
Not knowing if you're warranted to dream anymore. Wow. So does that mean in this moment right now you're not dreaming of the future?
To answer the question, no, because I don't know how to in this new space.
Wow.
I could dream when I found the love of cutting hair. I'm like, oh man, I seen it. Like, I'm like, oh man, like, and it wasn't even about the money, but I could be like, yo, like, I can see my milestones. Oh man, I can't wait till I cut this many heads. I can't, and I was creative, so I could do it every day. And I'm like, oh man, I can't wait until my kids can see me cutting hair and come to the shop. And so now it's like, what does that even look like? You know? And to be an owner, to be a boss. Like, I have not worked a job for anybody else in 10 years.
Right.
I started as an entrepreneur at 20. And so not thinking at 30 that I was going to now be working. Though the work, don't get me wrong, the work is fulfilling. The work, once I get out, or even what helps me kind of push through daily is remember, it's like you not working a corporate job where you have to wear a suit and tie. Like, you are doing some meaningful work.
Right.
It's just different.
It's different.
And but I still, like, certain dreams I've had, it's like, how does this even fit here? So what was all of that for if you knew that in 10 years that I was going to be here? So that's what I fear right now.
So part of that fear is just not being able to dream. Like, when you close your eyes at night, there is no future flashing before your eyes about what could possibly be.
For other people, there are.
But not for yourself. Wow.
I have a dream for Raleigh. I have a dream for making everybody else's dream come true. And
wow.
Oh, this person envisioned this. And it's like, oh, man, like, man, when that happens. But I don't have anything for me, which is not a space that I enjoy.
Different.
Because I've always been able to dream.
Yeah. So when you first started the barbering, which obviously was a fluke, because when you were 12, you didn't think you would be a barber.
No, I thought 25. I was going to be a football, the first woman NFL player.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Oh, I wish everybody could see Summer J sitting here right now as the first female football player in the NFL.
Sitting at 5'3" and a half.
Sorry. Anyway, but when barbering first fell into your lap, which is to put it lightly, did you immediately start dreaming?
No. It was very hard because nobody believed in me. Nobody wanted to sit. That was in 2013. So, and I just thought about this. Sorry, viewer. When I was in the shower this morning, because that's when God be talking to me.
Well, of course.
But this is my 10th year of cutting hair.
Wow.
Just realized that. But anyways.
Happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you. I think it's in like the fall, but thank you. No, it was very difficult. Like, nobody wanted to have a female cut their hair. I was the youngest. Obviously the only female. The one that was supposed to mentor me didn't mentor me. And so it was very difficult. But No, I'm still young, but I was younger,
right.
and it was just like, okay, you got a choice. Like, you gonna sit there and let them punk you,
right.
or you gonna make them wish they can sit in your chair.
Wow.
So no, I didn't dream at first. It's when I got over that hump of, okay, I can do this. And I have a reason to do this because, and I used, the reason why I did it was because nobody believed in me.
Right.
So, and then when people started sitting in my chair and I'm like,
seeing things,
then the dream developed then.
Okay. So now, back to the present, hard to dream for yourself, easy to dream for others, and what you see for your calling on why you came here. You came here to be a light for others, which you're doing well. You're being a light for others. However, you don't see that same light within yourself for you, right? Do you have hope that it'll be back?
I do have hope. I think it's more faith than hope. I might not have hope, as much hope as I need, but I do have faith.
Okay.
Because even hope comes from, for me, I'm not speaking for anybody else, but in what I think hope is in my life is there's an inkling of something that's showing me it's going to happen.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, I hope because of this.
Okay.
Faith is, I have no inkling right now. I have my faith is the belief in something unseen. But I have faith. So I have faith that it's going to happen.
Okay.
Because I don't think he would call me here to, I don't think he would call, I hope he wouldn't call me here.
Okay.
To just be here.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to take this a little bit different direction. Let's say this young man, somewhere around 27, 28 years old, comes and sits in your chair. And as y'all start to talk, because this is your wheelhouse. This is your comfort zone. This is where you found your identity in Atlanta. He comes and sits in your chair and y'all are talking and he tells you he has no hope for the future. And he's only walking by faith right now. But the hope just isn't there and he can't dream. What do you tell him?
This is after he's told me this backstory and everything.
After he's told you his story?
You should have gave me this one. I didn't need about a day to think. What would I tell him?
What would you tell him? What advice? What would Summerjoy, the master barber, how would you leave this conversation without just him walking out the door?
I would tell him that dreams are, when we dream at night, we don't know what we're going to dream about. We don't get to choose our dream. It's happenstance. It just happens, and then a meaning comes behind it. And so I would tell him that his dream is not depicted on his choices, and his dream is not his dream is not a template. His dream will come when it's supposed to come, and that his faith will be the foundation of his dreams. Is what I would tell him. He might ask me to elaborate though, because I be getting real intellectual. But that's what I would tell him. I would tell him it's okay to not have the dream right now. And that if he felt like he was called, and he has faith, if he hasn't lost his faith, which is the most important, then whatever he's lacking right now will be what he will have abundantly in the future because he's lacking it right now and because he's clinging to faith. And that's what I would tell him.
So do you hear those words for yourself?
I knew you was going to say that.
Do you hear those words for yourself?
I do. Yeah. I do.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
So I know you don't necessarily have a dream for your future, but do you dream at night? When you close your eyes every now and then, do you get a picture of something?
Mm-hmm.
Do they make any sense to you?
Not very often.
Do you believe that they will one day?
A lot of them, yeah. Not the ones where I'm just walking around and lost a sock or two, you know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Well. Okay. Does it give you any kind of hope after listening to the words that you would tell a young man in the exact same position you're in?
It does.
Good.
It does. Of course you do that because I'm always telling people, take yourself outside yourself and look at yourself from another point of view.
Yeah. Well, it's not often I get somebody on the podcast here that when they are their voiceless, they are also the voice of reason for their voiceless. You are a woman of many dimensions, many layers, and as you said earlier, I have known you for about a decade now, a little over a decade, right at a decade. And I've been proud of you every step of the way, watching you, every move you've made, every twist, every turn, everything. It's just been like, that's Summerjoy. Yep. At first it was that Summerjoy. Now that's my baby. Look at her. Get it? I've been very, very proud. For the viewers that don't know, Summerjoy is married to my daughter. So legally wise, she's my daughter-in-law. But in our family, she's my daughter. And she is an amazing woman. Just watching you it's been a blessing. Like, you've taught me so much, and you're half my age.
Only half.
Anyway, so it hurts. It hurts to know that you are hurting. It hurts to watch you go through this, even though I know that this right here is only going to make you stronger. You might actually be 5'5" when you finish this.
I'm 5'5" now. I don't know what you're talking about.
But it's just, it's a pleasure. And I know it kind of sucks right now, what you're in. But another reason why I did want you to talk about it is so that people who are in it right now and don't see a way out, don't have hope, don't have faith, just not there, maybe they'll find a little hope and faith from your words, knowing that you too are in it right now. You haven't gotten through. You're not at your praise report time and, hey, let me tell you what I've been through. You're in it. And just the fact that you haven't lost faith, that your faith is still strong. Yeah, your tears may be there, but your faith is covering your tears. And the hope is coming. I personally hope that somebody heard those words today and maybe stands a little taller, knowing that they can get through whatever it is they're going through too. Because you are strong, you are beautiful, you are amazing. And I'm proud to call you my daughter. And I'm proud to walk with you. So go ahead. What else? You got anything else?
For whoever's listening, I would say that, because their story might not be my story. Again, not a lot of people going,
True.
you know.
True.
But when you are called to do something that goes completely against what other humans would do, you will probably don't. Because what I've also struggled with was feeling guilty of being in this space I am, feeling shame of like, how can you complain to like what? And so that's what also kept me silent, was my guilt and my shame, and not even from other people, but being shameful, feeling like God is gonna look at me with shame. And feel like I'm gonna be one of those in the Old Testament. Like, you know what, matter of fact, I don't even need to use you no more because you just is being unappreciative right now.
Right.
And still not knowing how that works, which is also a fear for me. That is to add to what my fear is, and I just realized that is my fear, that God will change his mind on me because I'm not getting with the program quick enough. But with that is an active daily choice every single day. Few times throughout the day, I have to make the choice that I'm going to fight. I fight every day. I fight depression every day. I fight negative thoughts all day. I have never had some of the thoughts that I have as much as I have been. Just negative thoughts, like, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it's a fight like every day. Like, even on the days I might not make it to the gym, like I made it to the gym this morning, and I'm like,
you go, girl.
That's big. Like, yeah, okay, workout, yeah. But the fact that I chose not to disassociate, I chose not to take the easy way out today. I don't know what tomorrow gonna look like.
Right.
But today I made it. And so I've been on this new thing of taking it day by day and releasing my grip. Releasing my grip on my marriage, releasing my grip on my future, and just taking it day by day and accepting who I am at that very moment. And whoever can't accept it, you're not in this position I'm in.
Right.
So
you can't judge.
You can't judge. And I've never been really caring about people that judge me.
Right.
For the people that know me.
Right.
But
how do you feel letting your grip go on all of that?
It feels good to be aware that I can do it. And to see small successes with it. Like my marriage. Like, hey, listen, be very intentional in your marriage, Summerjoy, and lead when you're supposed to lead, and follow when you're supposed to follow, and be honest and be bold, but stop thinking, okay, if this don't happen now, then what's gonna happen in the next 6 months? And it's like, loosen that, because you don't know what's gonna happen in the next 6 months.
Right.
Even if it don't happen today, even if this don't happen tomorrow, you don't know what's gonna happen in the next 6 months. So it felt good to do something that I didn't know that I had the power to do.
Wow. That's encouraging. That's encouraging.
I don't want to take too much of your time.
No. Before we close, though, so this is the part where I normally ask, how can our listeners support you in your work? But being that we went a little different today, how can our listeners support you or support somebody they know that's going through it right now? What would you need from a stranger, a friend, a family member, a loved one? What would you need right now?
I would say to our listeners, one, to see the people around you. Because if I wasn't surrounded by people that see me, I could hide.
True.
I mean, even when I feel like I'm hiding, when I look at my father-in-law's eyes, it's like he's looking me in my soul. When I look you in your eyes, it's like, okay. And I catch myself not wanting to look in my loved one's eyes because then they'll see me.
Right.
And so, but I would say see them first.
Okay.
And then I would say just give people grace and their fears and doubts. Give them grace and be gentle with them, because the fears and doubts are temporary, but how you are with them during those fears and doubts will last, because I'm going to remember who took my fears and doubts and used them against me.
Right.
Not even just now, but I've had before.
Yeah.
I remember confiding in someone and saying, yo, I'm just afraid. And they're like, see, I'm going to remember that.
Right.
And so I would just give them grace, because they can't control it. And they're fighting. And the ones that are fighting, you'll know that they're fighting through it.
Yeah.
And when they voice it, they're just trying to hear it out loud to see if it's worth even being fearful about. And don't make people feel bad for being fearful and doubtful. You get people that's like, yo, if you doubtful, you can't be on my team.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not supposed to be on your team. I don't know. But don't be that way with the people that you love, because they just need grace in this moment. So that's what I would say.
So see them. Give them grace with no judgment.
And just listen to them. Don't listen to them and then try to always give advice, because the advice you probably are giving is what they've probably went through over and over and over in their head, and it ain't work.
Right.
But just listen. Just look at them and listen. And sometimes they just might need a hug. Sometimes there's been days where I just need a hug. Like, I don't want nothing else. Like, I don't need to talk. I just want to hug and maybe cry while I'm hugging. Yeah. That's it. And then I can go on about my day.
There you go.
So those 3 things is what I would say.
See them, hear them, and grace with no judgment.
Yeah. That last one can go with grace with no judgment. They use it right.
There you go. I got you. All right. Well, thank you. I thank you for being here today. I thank you for speaking your truth, using your voice for the voiceless, who in this case is someone who's going through it. You. I thank you. Thank you to our listeners who stayed with us this entire time. I hope you heard something. I hope something resonated within you when you are out in the world today and tomorrow, and you see somebody who may not look like they're in a great place right now. Those 3 things right there: see them, hear them, and grace with no judgment. Thank you for taking the time to listen as we use our voices for the good of others. If you have something to say or someone to speak up for, please reach out. You can find me on Instagram at 30_1_8. 30 and 1 are spelled out. Or you can go to the website at www.31-8.com. Again, that's THIRTYONE-8.com. I hope you feel heard by someone today, and we will be back very soon speaking up for the voiceless.
Summerjoy out.